up, everybody? My name is Kamisha Thompson, and I am going to start my teaching demonstration right now. Action. All right. So I would start my class with a daily affirmation to get everybody in a good mood and a positive mood and ready to learn. So the affirmation would be, I will walk in, I would say, "Good morning, class. Today is a good day. I can and I will." And they would repeat it to me. "Today is a good day. I can and I will." All right, let's get started. All right, so I would open up the lesson with a question to the class about unit rates. Who remembers what a unit rate is? And then a student would raise their hand with an anticipated question. Number one, what's a unit rate, Miss Thompson? So what I would do to build on the background knowledge to get ready for this lesson about ratios and proportions, I would review to them what a unit rate is. And up here in the top corner, I have, they would be on the board so where they could see what a unit rate is. And a unit rate is basically when you're trying to calculate the price per something, price per item. Let's say we have 5 bags of chips. There are 5 bags of chips. That's the quantity on the bottom. There are 5 bags of chips. All together, they cost $30. How much is 1 bag of chips? To find out the unit rate, you have to divide the numerator by the denominator. So you would do 30 divided by 5, and 30 divided by 5 is 6. Sorry, I'm in the way. So the unit rate would be $6 per bag of chips. That is an expensive bag of chips, and we don't buy those. We're not going to buy those. We're going to buy the cheap bag of chips. So we get like 4 bags of chips for $1. How much is each bag of chips? 25 cents. So then the bag of chips we want to buy. So dealing with unit rates, we are going to go into talking about ratios and proportions. What is a ratio? A ratio is the comparison of two quantity of things compared to the other. How many of this versus how many of that do I have? And the ratio is the fraction that comparison of those two things makes. So, for example, I have on the board some squares. Some are shaded and some are unshaded. So the ratio I want us to figure out is what is the number of shaded squares to the number of unshaded squares. Would anybody like to volunteer and answer? Which you just fill in the blank, just write the numbers in and fill in the blank. So at this point, I would hope that a student would be brave enough to walk up and volunteer. So I'm gonna say they get it right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded squares, and shaded is first. That is important. And then we have 3 unshaded squares. So the ratio of shaded to unshaded squares would be 4 to 3. You can also write that as 4:3, or you can write it as a fraction, 4/3. Those are all examples of a ratio. All right, by the end of this lesson, you all will feel comfortable with identifying the unit rate or the constant of proportionality, aka the unit rate. Starting today, we might not get through this all today, but this is what we're going to start with during the week, and we're going to work on all 3 of these objectives throughout the week, but in no particular order. Our objective is to represent a unit rate using a ratio given a visual model. So using a model, we want to create a ratio. Then we want to write the ratio, and then we want to create ratio problems. And today, we're going to work on creating those ratio problems using M&Ms as our model. All right, so one of the instructional strategies that we've already used is the visual on the whiteboard and the modeling also as to see what a ratio looks like. And we're also going to use checking for prior knowledge. We're going to check for prior background knowledge upon these activities. So let's start our ratio and proportion activity. But mainly ratios today. So let me erase this board and give us some space. So now I am going to use the green and the red markers to represent M&Ms that are going to represent our ratios. And I'm going to use this worksheet. So I need all of you guys to turn your paper, the one that you picked up walking into the room. I need y'all to turn to the back of it and look at problem number 2. Somebody read that out for me. It's going to act like a student reading it out. At Christmas time, M&M's candies are available in packages containing only red and green candies. If the ratio of red to green in a large package is 9:14, and there are a total of 506 candies in the package, how many of the candies in this package are red? There are plenty of things we want to focus on. We want to know the ratio of red to green. That is important. It's red to green, not green to red, because if you get it backwards, you're going to get the answer wrong. So red to green. And we want to know how many candies in the whole bag are red. So I got my markers. We got red and green. I need you to get your red color pencil and your green color pencil and model what I have on the board. The color is important and the order is important. So we're going to have R for red. I'm just going to use this black. Y'all don't have to. We're just going to use the black for the fraction bar. So we got red to green. Remember, you can write a ratio in numerous amounts of ways. We're going to do it as a fraction. So red to green is, let's do equals, we got 9:14. So red to green. Red is 9. Okay, green is 14. That is only the number of red to green. That's not red to the total amount of colors in the package. So between red and green, what you want to do, you want to take the two numbers and add those together. So that's going to be the number of red. Between the red and green, it's 9 red, 2 9 plus 14 is 23. So for every 23 M&Ms, 9 of those are red. That is what that means. So to set, that's the ratio that we want to deal with. For every 23, we have 9 red. They tell us that the total amount in the whole bag is 506. Miss Thompson, where do we put the 506? We're going to create another fraction. Where do we put the 506? Do you think we put it on the top or the bottom? I'm going to pause, give them a time to think, and then I'm going to wait for a response. So let's say a student raises their hand. We put it on the top, Miss Thompson. What makes you say that, Jerome? I don't know. Well, let's think about it. We have red on top, and we have the total amount for every 23, there are 9 red. We want to know how many red candies are in the whole package. So they'll tell us that 506 are in the whole package, and since we're using 506, we wouldn't put it up there with the red. It has to go on the bottom. So 506. And this creates our proportion that we're going to solve. We're going to solve for the red X because we want to know how many red are in the whole package, which includes 506. For every 23, there are 9. But for how many for 506 are there? So to solve the proportion, what you want to do, you want to cross multiply. I'm going to put up this red, not with that black top, but I'm going to put up the red, and we're going to solve this proportion. To solve a proportion, all you have to do is cross multiply. This is how you know when it's solved correctly. When you cross multiply and you get the same answer. So when you cross multiply, 23 times x is 23x, and you set that equal to whatever 9 times 506 is. And of course, we are going to use our calculators. So 9 times 506 is 4,554. 4,554. Now we want to solve for the x. To solve for the x, 23 times x is multiplication. So to get the x by itself, we have to divide. So we are going to divide by 23 on both sides to get the x by itself. And when we do that, we should get 198. So x equals 198. X equals 198. Can anybody tell me what 198 means? Someone raises their hand and says, 198 represents the number of red M&Ms in the entire package. You are correct, Hillary. You are correct. So Hillary said, so this right here equals 198. And to check for your answer, what you want to do is cross multiply. 198 times 23 should give you 4,554. If it doesn't, you have to go back, backtrack, and rework your steps. That's what you want to do. I want you guys to take a minute and make sure that your work looks like my work in your journals, because I'm going to take it up and I'm going to review it and I'm going to go over it to make sure you were taking notes in the class and to make sure that you understand. All right? So once you guys do that, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to check your work. All right, so that wraps up the lesson for today. Now, what you have to do is I want you guys to pick up the exit ticket for the last 5 minutes of class before we dismiss. I want you to fill out the exit ticket, work that problem on there, and put it in the basket on your way out the door. And tomorrow we will continue with our objectives, and we will continue to talk about ratios and proportions and how they relate to the world. I know y'all like candy and M&Ms, so I hope y'all really like the lesson. Next time I'll have some real M&Ms that y'all can eat on. All right, you guys, it looks like that concludes my teaching demonstration. I just wanted to do a little outro for the few minutes that I have left of the video. I wanted to touch bases on a couple of things. Just in case you missed it, a short description of the materials that I used throughout the lesson included the whiteboard, the markers, visuals that I drew on the board. In this assignment, in the classroom setting, I would actually use actual Christmas colored M&Ms, red and green, to help the students sort. That way they can do various proportion problems with different, ratios and proportions in comparison to working together, maybe even working in groups, small groups or something like that, to work together. The other thing was an explanation of the rationale of the lesson in relation to my learning segment. So the idea of my learning segment would have to do with obviously ratios and proportions, and going on to expressions and equations further down that line is what I'm thinking. To be honest, I haven't really sat down and looked at my learning segment and got my thoughts together. So this is a fresh start and a good start to that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give me your feedback, and I'll be looking out for your videos as well. Thank you.